Hello, hello! Bl'Artagnan here with Unshakable Conviction, the Edgar intersecting Will's Lufenia Plus fight. We're bringing a no burst, no synergy, no friend unit team, featuring Zack, Beatrix, and Pain. Before we get too deep into it, be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, leave a comment down below letting me know what you've done to entertain yourself with this fight. A lot of options out there, so I'm curious, what have you been doing to have some fun with this? So, my last run of this fight really didn't interact with it too much, it just kind of blew it up. So I wanted to kind of get in there and get into the nitty-gritty and figure out how it worked. And I gotta say, it's not a terribly threatening fight. The orb, as you know, is potentially specific and can be difficult to maintain, but isn't really a big deal because it does almost no damage. And so all it really does is delete your turns, which is, it's funny, I feel like a year ago, having a boss who deleted your turns kind of every so often would have been like kind of just a scary prospect. But maybe it's because of the way these bosses are acting and interacting. Because these Guardian dudes, we've seen them before. Their basic gist is they go through these different programs where they kind of periodically throughout the fight mimic other bosses, common bosses, Krakens, Malboros, Behemoths. The thing is, the bosses in question aren't super duper threatening. Like Kraken, none of them actually use like serious HP attacks. You see there, the orb attack barely scratched us. The actual attacks they're doing are like, some debuffs here and there, some brave attacks. I don't think they actually do HP attacks unless they... Well, okay, they have that one laser attack they do, which can deal some decent damage if you don't have any mitigation, but it's not like a one-shot or anything like that, not super duper threatening. The most threatening action they do, I think, is the Malboro can blind you, which is just annoying. We're bringing Pain here, and also we're actually bringing Unicall and Beatrix to deal with that, so that's just a little bit of tech. You see here, I think the second Malboro action is always a big old debuff Bad Breath attack. You can see they have it queued up. Honestly, the only threat that this fight really presents to me, after having played around with it a bit, is that with the turn deletion from the orbs, if they both go off one after the other, which is very likely since, one deletes a turn, then the other one's probably going to get enough turns that its orb's going to go off. Miss, damn. That does two things. One, it'll make your debuffs run down. So if your team happens to be relying on debuffs to heavily enhance its damage, because you're bringing a really old team or something, I don't know, that can get annoying because you may run out of them quickly. But more importantly, if you're not bringing mitigation or off-turn damage, they can stack up their turns, gain a bunch of brave, and then kill someone. I tried to be cute and run a team of Strago, Lude, and Queen, and there's not a whole lot of defensive mitigation there. So basically, when they deleted my turns, they killed the dude, and that was just a learning thing. I was like, okay, cool. So you can die in this stage. That's nice. I'm glad to see there's something there. And so that's why we're bringing Beatrix here. Well, her and Zack, of course, too, just to provide us with general defense and attack too. My gosh, Zack, for a 4-month-old unit, Jesus Lord. It's funny. I think most characters, when they get a rework in LD, it's the LD that kind of puts them over the top. It's like that's like their big money maker. You look at like I don't need to point Lena or whatever, but or Pain. Like the LD is where the money's is the money thing. Zack, I think, was kind of overlooked when he first came out because for him, the LD is nice. Don't get me wrong. He's getting a bunch of HP damage up from it. The team is getting a whole lot safer. He's getting that overheal and burst heal, which is kind of cool. But the real exciting thing about Zack, I think, is just the rework makes him hit so hard now because it raises his damage ceiling like crazy. They were actually talking about this last night on TCC, damage ceiling, damage floor, what people mean by that. Personally, for me, damage floor is how much damage a character does, minimum with minimal support. So you look at a Golbez or a Sabin, and they're very self-sufficient. They have their own weakness damage. Maybe they ignore defense. Maybe they have a brave floor like Ursula, something like that. There's something that guarantees that their baseline damage is going to be higher than average. High ceiling means basically it means that they have a whole bunch of HP dumps or some mechanic, like, I don't know, like, maybe they launch a lot or something, which is more, it's more Brave Dumps, basically. More HP attacks. But, like, so Zack here, you know, he's getting 6 HP attacks plus splash damage. That's a very high ceiling. And that's what I mean when I say high ceiling versus high floor, which is something like, I don't know, even like Pain has a higher floor than most supports because she has that built-in defense down, plus the weakness damage, plus the HP damage, so she just kind of naturally hits pretty darn hard. She just doesn't have a very high ceiling because, you know, her EX is double dump or, you know, triple dump. It just doesn't do as much. Anyway, I got in a bit of a tangent there because there isn't too much to talk about with this fight. And I wanted to showcase, look at this, look at Zack. Just go, look at him go, watch that, boom, that is 900,000 damage on a 4-month-old unit using a base skill, no BT effects in play. And his supports are old too. Pain's 2 months old and Beatrix is even older than that. Especially if you consider that she only got LD boards. Oh yeah, you'll notice that I applied my debuff calls pretty late, because as I mentioned, when they delete your turns, they can chew through your debuffs, and so I wanted to wait until the reductions were a bit higher before I brought in all the debuff calls. Oh, check this out. Check this out. With Hellfire, we got that HP damage cap. Boom, that is, yeah, that's 1 million combined between the two of them. Alright, Millionaire Club. There we go. Can't wait for Zack BT, that's gonna be great. And C90, the C90 I think is where it's at. But anyway, so what was I getting at? But yeah, so the reason I put the calls on late is so they wouldn't chew through them too early in the fight. It kind of had, I think I mistimed it. I probably could have gotten away with dropping them even earlier than I did, but I was trying to wait for kind of a clean point where the orbs had just gone off, and it just kind of worked out this way. So you'll see here, we're going to probably finish the fight with a few more turns of our debuff calls than we necessarily needed to have, but it's still fine. We got the W. It's not like I said, not a terribly challenging fight, but I wanted to give you some insight into kind of why I kind of do the things I do and kind of why I time things differently, because I think a big part of this game, and like when folks say, oh, I find Lufenia so hard, a big part of, I think, what's causing them problems, you know, the 3 big problems really are character building, team building, and timing. Character building should be obvious, you know, just, you know, if the first thing I ask someone when they say, oh, I have so much trouble in endgame, it's like, are you doing your summon boards? Are you, you know, maximum breaking your weapons? The basic shit, you know, the stuff everyone should know. I don't want to take that for granted. Some people just, you know, the game doesn't do a great job explaining all that stuff. Don't want to take that for granted. Team building, I mean, you probably already know about that. You know, you need your auras, you need your people who have high damage ceilings to hit the damage requirement, like a Zack, and people to enable that damage ceiling to juice up the damage so it translates. Or you just have a team with like 3 really high damage floor characters, like, I don't know, Lena and other people who have a good consistent damage. But anyway, and the third thing is timing. I've talked about this before, kind of thinking about fights in terms of phases, things like that. Thinking about how you can maximize your damage over the course of the fight by maximizing your damage during specific points of it. So for me here, I didn't want the curse on my on too soon because I knew later in the fight my brave damage was going to go down just a little bit, and so getting that extra HP damage would offset that and keep my damage kind of consistently as close to maximized as possible. Anyway, it's the kind of min-maxy shit that doesn't really matter against a fight that isn't super complicated like this one. Pretty simple fight. Hey, there we go, Yuna call. Thank you, Yuna. But it's the kind of practice that I like getting into, because Shinryu difficulty, as I've been hearing from my various JP playing friends, is all about timing. It's all about timing, setting up and timing your force time to deal maximum damage to chew through their hit points. And so I think it's good now to be thinking about and trying to maximize your timing and understanding when things should happen. Like you'll see, I was pretty stingy with the pain LDs because I was trying to maximize their damage window for when they had all the debuffs up and everything. But anyway, there you go. So there we have it. No BT, no synergy, no friend unit fight. Zack is 4 months old. Calm the hell down, Zack. You'll get your BT soon. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching. Adios.